Exodus 14. Stand and see salvation. After the 10 plagues were brought upon the Egyptians, the Lord was ready to bring his people out of slavery and into promised freedom. Israel had seen the great leadership of Moses, and they were willing to follow him to a new land. The Lord would tell Moses what to do, and the people would follow most of the time. God told Moses to encamp with the people by the Red Sea, because God was going to show his glory by saving his people. When Pharaoh and his servants heard that the Israelites were defiantly leaving Egypt, they grew enraged and prepared for battle. Pharaoh gathered his army with all the best military resources of the ancient world. Mounting their chariots, the Egyptians pursued the Israelites, who fled on foot. Pharaoh and his army tried to stop Israel from leaving Egypt. However, when God wants to redeem someone out of slavery, he will do it, and nothing will stop him. Yet it is not without a fight from the enemy who wants to keep people in his oppressive kingdom of sin. It didn't take long for the Egyptians to find the fleeing Israelites, and when the Jews saw the army of Egypt marching toward them, they became very fearful. They cried out to the Lord and to Moses and started to doubt the rescue plan. They said that they would rather continue as slaves in Egypt than die at the edge of freedom. This sort of fear and doubt is common among people who are right on the brink of salvation, because people often think that freedom depends on their own ability to fight and save themselves. Not with God. Moses said to the people, "Fear not, stand firm, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall never see again. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent." This promise of the Lord to fight for Israel was given to silence their fears and doubts and to amplify their faith. With such a promise as this, the people could have been bold to proceed by faith, but they were still crying out to God and Moses. Therefore, the Lord said to Moses, "Why do you cry to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward. Lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, that the people of Israel may go through the sea on dry ground." When the people thought there was no way, God said he would make a way. He would demonstrate his power to save by parting the great Red Sea. God would do all the work, yet the people had to decide to go forward. Now, as faith grew in the hearts of the people, Pharaoh's heart grew harder. God was making a clear distinction between his chosen people and his enemies. God's glory was shown by lighting up the way for the Jews and darkening the way for the Egyptians. Then, in a spectacular and historical moment in God's redemptive history, God sent a strong east wind to blow upon the Red Sea. The waters were driven back and divided. Israel was positioned to go through their baptism. In great faith, the people proceeded in the midst of the Red Sea as they walked step by step upon the dry ground. With water standing up to their left and to their right, the people were surrounded by the miraculous and glorious power of God. The Lord brought each man, woman, and child through the Red Sea and onto the other side. And with the same staff that Moses stretched over the water to part, he stretched it again over the waters to close them in, drowning the Egyptian army. With the bodies of Egyptians strewn dead along the shore, Israel was now alive and free. The great power of the Lord was shown. The people saw the salvation of the Lord, and they feared the Lord and believed in his name. The parting of the Red Sea is a story for all believers to stand and see that salvation is of God. Jesus died on a cross and was raised from the dead to accomplish the greatest and most glorious redemption. God made a way when there was no way, and now we go through his way of salvation in faith. In baptism, we enter the waters and come forth in victory and freedom like the Israelites did in the Red Sea.